This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boxer. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez. Welcome back to another episode of Uncensored. I had heard some talk from a couple of different creators, and I read a lot of comments asking whether there would be a reunion of Mundo and Rene, and I think that at some point maybe we'll do something, but in the future we're not planning anything in the near future. The mob spot was a mob spot. Once it got hacked, that was it. But the other day, while researching for an episode, I actually found some audio that we recorded for episodes that we never created. So I'm going to run that for you now. So you are getting a reunion of Mundo and Rene from the old mob spot days. I hope you enjoy this commentary that we did, this video that we created. It's actually audio. We're going to add some graphics to it for you. And it's about mob folklore. It's about me hearing Huero Shy was a necrophiliac, which is not true, obviously, but it became part of the mob lore, right? This rumor that Huero Shy was a necrophiliac. And here we dispelled that rumor, and we actually get into an elimination, one of the stories I heard, and it proves a really valid point. The really valid point is that not everybody can know everything about the mob. It's just an impossibility. I mean, I know some of the top experts in the nation on this topic, and not even they know everything. So it shows when you get two guys together to share the information they have, and that's exactly what we do here. I tell my version of the story, then Ramon tells his version of the story, and it creates just a huge window of two different generations of mobsters talking about the elimination of Poyo, and I believe Largo as well, which is a pretty graphic story in itself. With that, folks, I'm going to run the audio now. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Welcome to another session of the Mob Spot. We welcome you guys in. We're trying something a little different today. Again, thank you all for your participation and your comments. With that, I think Ramon has something to say.
Yeah, probably what the audience should know is that Rene and I, although we do come from two separate time frames, we do intersect. We are connected. A lot of the older guys, he knew them. A few of the guys from his generation, of course, I I knew them as well, and so we're going to kind of feed off each other, and we're going to describe to the audience the facts as we know them. If I was there, or if Rene was there for some of this, that's fine. But we weren't everywhere, so it's not like we know it all. And but we do have a lot of good intel, a lot of good information that we've gleaned through the years, and we're gonna try to bring a clear picture to everybody of of some of the events that took place, and Rene, I think, discussing today.
Yeah, I want to talk about a story that I heard about when I first got in the mob. Like, I was in a couple of weeks. I just got inducted in Folsom. I was in shoot two. And I told everybody before in past interviews that I was there with the Titans. Like, these are the big guys, like Joe Morgan, Nico Velasquez, Black Dambarella, Alfie Sosa, and Huero Shy Shryock. So one day we're taking little laps on the yard. It's what we do. You hook up with a couple of brothers and you do laps on the yard, like walking, not running, because the yard is so small in shoot two. And there was about 40 or 50 of us out there. So I'm walking with Nico Velasquez, who's since been, he's deceased. He got killed in Tehachapi. And I think it was 1987 or 1988. But I'm walking with him, and he's schooling me. I'm a new brother, and he's grooming me. And he tells me to ask Huero Shy about necrophilia. And it kind of threw my hair back, like necrophilia. I mean, that's sex with dead people. And so later that yard, I asked Huero Shy, I said, what's this necrophilia story?
and he starts like a guttural laugh, it just from his belly. It's a belly laugh. He starts laughing, and he starts telling me about the murder of a Mexican mafia member that occurred in Rosemead at Rocky's house, Rocky Luna. That a carnal had tried to strike another carnal while they were having a junta or a meeting, and they ended up stabbing this carnal to death and rolling him up in a carpet. So he tells me the details of the story, how they stabbed him up and they killed him right there in the house, and they rolled him up in the carpet and they put him in the bathroom to bleed out. And his body was propped over the bathtub to drain out, but his butt was sticking in the air, the deceased corpse. And the other gentlemen, the other participants were going to leave and go get a car for transportation to move the body from point A to point B. And they asked Huero Shy to stay in the bathroom with the body and make sure nobody came into the bathroom. And they gave him a pack of cigarettes and they asked him if he was going to be all right. And the joke was that he patted the body on the butt and said, "I'd be all right." And that's where the running rumor of necrophilia came from. He obviously wasn't a necrophiliac, but this was a story he told me and it stuck with him his entire career. I don't know if anybody knows about that story, but I was off camera the other day speaking with Ramon, and he told me the details of it. And I was amazed that there was so much I didn't know. And again, that principle that we feed off each other, we learn off each other, no one person can know everything about the mafia, it came to light right there. And this is an instance where I'd like Ramon to fill in the details. If you will, Ramon, could you tell him how it actually went down?
Yeah, sure. But first of all, one of the things I want to say in preface to that is that, as you know, Rene, and as everybody that enters the prison system, when Raza gets together and behind bars, the street gang rivalries are supposed to die. But when you join the Mexican mafia, not only are the street gang rivalries dead, but any personal rivalry should never, will never come into play. Or otherwise, you raise a hand against a fellow carnal, you're going to get killed. So Poyo and Beto Valles from Eloyo Soto hated each other over some personal stuff. And we knew that in prison. But nevertheless, they would never confront each other because they knew that something could happen if they did. So now you fast forward, they're out on parole, 1977, I believe it was February, and they're all getting high at Manuel Luna's house in Rosemead, and they're slamming dope. You got Huero Shy, who I come to find out that he was there as well. Manuel Luna, you got Largo. So the guys are in one room slamming dope while Poyo is in the bathroom. When Poyo comes out of the bathroom, Largo, his the guy that the brother that hates him, they walk past each other, and Beto Valles whispers, "Fuck you, bitch," or but he says it like full of veneno, full of poison. And Pollo's no bitch. These guys are not bitches. He fires up Largo. Largo's a big tall guy compared to Poyo, but Poyo reaches up and bam, he fires on him. He punches him in the face. So what does Beto do? He walks to the other room and shows the fellas, where he's bruised up, and shows them and tells the guys that this is what happened. That Poyo fired. He struck a carnal. So of course that's an instant. The penalty is going to be administered instantly because you just don't do that. So based on that, they proceeded to stab him to death, and like Huero Shy told you, Rene, they rolled him up in Rocky Luna's brand new carpet. And what a lot of people don't know is Poyo had just been given a car by Sailor Boy, a '64 Chevy Impala. And so what they did is they threw him in the trunk of his own car, and in two vehicles they drove off. One vehicle was for of course, the guys that are going to come back, and the other guy was driving Sailor's car, whoever it was, and they drove him to an area where they set the car ablaze. He was already dead. They had stabbed him to death, and they set the car on fire. They came back to the residence in the other vehicle, and that was the end of that with regard to Poyo. Later, and I'll make this short and sweet for time purposes. When you're high on heroin, a lot of guys have a tendency to talk too much, and that's what Largo did. He told the wrong carnal how he had talked shit and accused and falsely accused, not really falsely accused, but instigated what had happened there, and so that led to Veto's demise. It's something we'll cover later on a different story.
So that's the amazing part of having a collaboration like with myself and Ramon, because I'm learning facts as I go along. You know, and I had heard about this murder repeatedly about this Huero Shy being the necrophiliac, and I never heard the details until I spoke with Shy on the yard, and then finally here we are, 30 years later, 35 years later, I'm with Ramon at an undisclosed location, and we're speaking off camera during one of our last shoots. We have this brief discussion about just we're just talking in general, and I bring this murder up, and Ramon pops just like that. I know the details to that murder, and we came up with the concept of creating this episode for you. But back in the day, that raising a hand to a brother was a strikeable offense. There's no coming back from it. That was a hard rule. Can't raise your hand to a carnal. That is since yielded because a number of carnales have been in fights. They have been in fights like Psycho and Toto. Psycho broke Toto's arm. Oh, actually, yeah, it was Toto's arm. I believe it was Toto. I could be mistaken, but he broke his arm, and we went and spoke with him, and it was a dead issue. They had an issue uh, between themselves, which is personal. I got in a fight with Darren Bach on the cell, personal issue. We didn't take it to the organization. There's some yield to that. There's some brothers have been in fights with their cellies, and it's really dependent on the carnal, I think, if he wants to push the issue. If you want to push the issue, you can get somebody killed for it. But I think most men just resolve it personally, because there have been a number of fights in my career that I know of Mexican Mafia members, and it didn't go to the organization. Once the two brothers resolved it, it's a personal issue. It's okay that they resolved it. It was done. But in Ramon's day, Ramon may be able to expound on this. What was the punishment like? Was there that personal issue if they both said it was personal, Ramon?
Yeah, there were instances, many, where there were personal confrontations that took place. Alfie and Cuate, when they were in Terminal Island together in the feds, that was in the 70s, they got into a fist fight. They agreed to resolve it, the two of them. The rest of the carnales, I don't think there were that many at that time in the BOP, did not have to know. And since they were in agreement, they got down, they got it off their chest, and Cuate whipped his ass, and then they kissed and made up later. Of course, I'm speaking figuratively when I say that, and it's there's a connected story to that we'll touch on later. It's when Alfie ultimately murdered Cuate from Eloy Mara, the guy that whipped his ass. Alfie was always getting his ass kicked, but that again, we'll be talking about that. You're familiar with some of those yourself, but the lesson to be learned here is active brothers are not supposed to raise their hand against a fellow carnal. That's a rule. As you guys know, rules are made to be broken. The rules were made by the M. They can make them, they can break them, they can interpret them any way they want. And that was one of those rules that was broken many times. It was not enforced sometimes, but in this case, as you said, Rene, the fellas wanted Largo wanted blood, so he used that. And if I was an active member, I would be saying, "What a bitch!" And that's the way they, to do that to Poyo. But that was the ultimate result.
Unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, particularly the organization when politics are at play, and they utilize these rules as a form of elimination for rivals or for personal gain and conflict. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I think it's just a pattern of the organization for individuals that want to utilize the rules. I've always said that the rules are used for political elimination, and imposition of sanction is really dependent upon one's socio-political status in the organization. With that said, Ramon, I think we've taught our lesson for the day. Why don't you close us out, brother?
No, yeah. Again, just one of those prison and street stories. They're all interconnected, interrelated, and just another reason for expressing to you guys the reason you should not join these gangs, because sooner or later something comes up in that life, and then you're gone, you're history, and nothing to show for it, nothing, no legacy, no positive legacy to show. So piranha, like a bunch of piranhas swimming in a tank, in a shark tank. So anyway, so thank you for tuning in. God bless you guys.
So there you have it, folks. Mob folklore. Two mobsters comparing their stories on a specific incident that occurred in Rosemead, California. I hope you enjoyed that segment. It's a blast from the past. It's from the mob spot. We recorded this, hoping to produce a video on a different format, a different platform. It just never gelled. But I found it, and I thought you guys would enjoy it. And it shows what two old guys with little information can bring to you. I hope you liked the episode. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, as well as hitting the hype button. Promoting the channel doesn't have to come from financial support and memberships, but we encourage you to join the memberships as well. But if all you can do is leave a comment and watch the video, well, we appreciate that. We appreciate all your participation. And like I said 1,000 times before, it's you, the viewer, who created this channel. It's you, the viewer, who it belongs to. So I create this content for you. With that said, peace out, folks. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Benzo.